Every Thursday night, you ask the questions, DT gives you his answers. No holds barred.
It's Q&A with Don Tony. This is your chance to speak your mind and be heard about anything.
Q&A with Don Tony. And now, your host, Don Tony. Don Tony. Don Tony. Don Tony.
17 years, everybody. 17 years today. Unbelievable. Unbelievable how fast the years go by. We'll talk about Chris in a moment. Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday night, April 28th, 2022. Q&A with yours truly is live and in full force. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Shout out to everybody who is live, who will be contributing to what we talk about on tonight's show. Obviously, our channel members get VIP status. They are let into the club before everyone else. So if you see a little logo next to some names and they're written in blue or in green, you know, obviously their questions go first. And I have a few things to talk about news-wise, a couple of results, a couple of tidbits, some ratings. But I got to tell you, what's next? Hey, WWE, Gifa, what is next? I know we had a little bit of an issue a couple of weeks ago. Tony D'Angelo, he is the Don. He's the Don of NXT, the Don of wrestling, Don Tony D'Angelo. Wait a minute. Whoa. I got dibs for Don Tony. In fact, yes, I am getting it trademarked. But you know me, I'm not a scumbag. I have said this publicly numerous times that I have the trademark. I am not going to be one of those assholes that's going to go to WWE and say, hey, cease and desist. Stop using my name in vain. Or, hey, how's about you grease a little palm over here? Eh? Why don't you help a Goomba out? No, I'm honored. But hold on. Wait a minute. A sit down with Don Tony D'Angelo. What is going on here? Come on. For newer viewers out there, and just to rub it into the haters, you know, one of my shows that I do is called The Sit Down with Don Tony. And I've given you all a little bit of a lesson about the sit down. That is cool. You know, we were talking about it yesterday on Patreon, and I'm going to say it here. You know, I get people once in a while like DT, they definitely tune into your shows. Yeah. It's been like that for, you know, well over a decade. But before anybody thinks that yours truly has a big head over here, a lot of people within wrestling tune into a lot of podcasters out there. There are people that I know for certain tune in to Joe Cronin. They tune into JD from New York. They tune into Jason Solomons. They tune into Wrestling Soup. They tune into me. They tune into a lot of shows out there. They want to see, you know, because look, you know, one thing is for certain, you know, all of us have a nice follower, you know, group of followers. I don't call you followers. I don't call you fans. You never, ever, for 25 years, you have never heard me say to my fans out there, no, we are family. This is an extended family. So, you know, when you have La Nostra Familia and they're like, wait, all these people are listening to this guy, maybe we got to take a little bit of notice. And look, in this day and age, a lot of wrestlers, they game, they text, they listen to podcasts, they watch videos. I mean, that is the social life of a lot of wrestlers compared to what it used to be back in the day. So, hey, if anything that I say, any of the growing up Don Tony stories, anything about the neighborhood, about the family, and about personal experience that I have seen, if that could spark an idea for someone there to say, hey, Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? You know, I've gotten tons of free shit from WWE. I've gotten legal letters from WWE. I've gotten gifts from WWE. You know, I've gotten the whole gamut. So, hey, I'm honored if I have anything to do with it. But I have to admit, sit down. Come on. What's going to be next? What's going to be next? I love it. I love it. Thank you, Chaos. Thank you, Chaos. I think that's pretty damn funny. That was pretty cool. You know, one other thing I wanted to get into before we start taking Q&A early tonight. Another thing that yes, I kind of brag when I get things right. Sometimes it's to rub it into the haters. Sometimes it's to remind a lot of people out there who says what and when. And if you notice, even though a lot of things that I say may not be sexy and they may not be popular and they may not be clickbait, one thing is for certain, 99% of the time it ends up being right. You go from NXT to Triple H with the whole situation there and the stockholders and investors and this and that and this. I mean, we end up being right every time. But do I get any credit for this? I doubt it. But I will say this. There are almost nobody on the net, because I've done searches. I try to see what's popular, what's not. If I talk about a topic, has it been said by 1,000 people out there? I try to find things that maybe we put a different spin on it. And I truthfully believe that since we've been talking about it for over a year and a half, that someone there, it had to penetrate a little bit. And it was interesting because I think it was the March 22nd episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite and a Q&A that we did 2 weeks ago. The question keeps coming up. Hey, Don Tony, if you could change one thing in AEW right now, what would you change? And my answer has been the same for the last 18 months. And the one that probably got the most attention, you remember that thumbnail I made making fun of Jay Lethal that he was ranked number 3? And you remember when I got into the top 5 of every division in AEW and gave you the list of wins for all of these wrestlers and about padding the numbers and all this bullshit that we've been talking about? I said, get rid of the win and loss records. Do the ranking system like old school retro wrestling magazines. The wrestling fans know who is on momentum, who really deserves a title shot. You don't want someone to have all these losses added up, and now because you decide, wow, we got to start pushing this guy, and they get 11 wins in a row, and you go check out how many times did I say, Tony Storm, she beat Lisa Lips, or, Jay Lethal beat scumbag number 1 on Dark and scumbag number 2 on Elevation. When we dissected the rankings, you realized how ridiculous the win-loss records were. You don't need to stick to numbers. Stick to what feels right. Stick to the vibe. Stick to the fans. Stick to all of that. You're probably not even aware of it, but this week, AEW came out with their rankings. Oh, look at that. No more win and loss records. Look at that. I love it. To quote Ric Flair from 1991, I love it. I love it. Props to AEW for changing it up. You will always have someone who will complain and say, wait a minute, why is Jon Moxley ranked number 3? He's mostly in trios matches now. Why is blah, 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 blah ranked? Why is John Silver and Alex Reynolds ranked number 2? You're always going to get people. That's the beauty of these things. When we used to pick up the magazines as kids, we used to argue with each other. He shouldn't be ranked number 1. Why is he the number 1 contender? This is entertainment. It doesn't have to, if it's not broke, you don't try to fix it. Been saying it for a year and a half. Get rid of the win-loss records with the ranking system. Just put people out there that are on the latest winning streak, upward trend, and let the fans dictate it. Props to AEW. I love it. I love it. That is awesome. That is great. Very, very smart. Very smart. Ken, I can't give everybody mod privileges. Sorry. I trust Austin and Chaos's royalty. So, down the line, maybe it changes. So, we'll get into some ratings in a little bit. Once again, people blaming shit on basketball, even though I think there was only one game. It wasn't the Bucks game, like a blowout anyway. I don't know. I don't keep watch it. But, as I said at the beginning of this show, today is the 17-year anniversary of Chris Candido passing away. This is a shirt that I hold very dear. I do not wear it other than nights like this. I know a lot of you out there probably never saw Chris Candido wrestle live and in color or in real time back in the day. But I called him a friend. And I can't tell you how many times I had the pleasure of talking to him, hanging out with him at wrestling shows. I've told some personal stories. And look, I'm not saying this to try to get clout or anything like that. But you remember not too long ago, Johnny Candido doing a beautiful documentary about his brother Chris. And on that documentary, you had lots of legendary wrestlers paying their tributes to Chris Candido. For those that don't know this, Johnny asked me, come on, I want you on the documentary. And I said, why? He says, I want you to tell some of the personal stories about my brother, some that you've never made public. And I said to Johnny, I said, I can't do it. I said, I'm a nobody. I said, you're going to see all these legendary wrestlers and then they're going to see me. He's like, yeah, but you're doing it for me. You're doing it for my brother. Fuck everybody else. And I just got stage fright and I passed it up. And honestly, I regret it to this day. The guy was an awesome guy. He had his demons. He overcame those demons. And, he was clean when he passed away. A fucking, you look at blood clots, what happened with Scott Hall. You look at aneurysms that have happened to people. I had a very close friend of mine when I was a teenager die at 15 years old from a brain aneurysm. This was hard. This was one of those. You ever hear people say, oh, I remember when such and such happened? For a lot of us, over the age of 20-something, oh, I remember where I was when 9/11 happened. Oh, I remember where I was when this happened. Oh, I remember where I was when this happened. I remember where I was and what I was doing when I found out about Chris. And I've told this story on the show before. My friend Darren used to have a restaurant on Sunrise Highway in Valley Stream, Long Island. And it was a Thursday, like today. It was a Thursday. It was April 28th, 2005. And he had always had this happy hour on Thursdays. And I drove to Long Island. I had my white LSC at the time, and the moon roof was broken. It wouldn't close, and I was afraid that it might rain that night, but I was like, the hell with it. I'm going to go to happy hour anyway. So I drove out to Valley Stream. I parked my car in the parking lot. I get out of my car. Before I could even walk into the restaurant, my cell phone rings, and it's the Mass Maniac, Frank Goodman, legendary wrestling promoter. And I answer the phone, and all I hear is sobbing. And I said, what's wrong? What's wrong? He's like, Chris is gone. And it didn't hit me right away. And I'm like, Chris who? He says, Chris. And I was like, oh, fuck. And that's how it happened. He was distraught. I ended up going home, obviously. I went to the church, and I was going with Georgie and Macropolis, because right around that time, we were very, very close online. Georgianne, God rest her soul, she's an angel. And it was very, very sad and very, very depressing. And, he talked 33 years old, 33. I mean, you think 32, 33 years old. I think of Chris Candido. I think of John Belushi. I think of others. I don't know. I hate the age 32, 33. But, Very, very sad day today. And, look, I don't expect every single person out there to remember the anniversary of somebody passing. But for this person, it always, it's always a day that I remember. One of the coolest stories that I could tell all of you, and this is something that hasn't been said in interviews, hasn't been said publicly, but Johnny can vouch for me 100%. One time for XPW, we had a match, Chris Candido versus Shane Douglas in the ECW arena. Chris Candido was going to be a surprise. And Chris Candido had a torn groin muscle. And when I picked him up from the airport, he had crutches. And I didn't really say anything, but I'm just looking at him and he's walking with crutches. And I'm saying to myself, how's this guy going to have a match? So I take him to the hotel. He goes in the hotel. All right, fine. I pick him up maybe like 6 hours before the show starts. And he can't even get into the car. And I said to him, how are you going to wrestle tonight? He's like, don't worry about it. He says, I'll take some pain medication. He says, I'll feel better. He says, I got to do it for the fans. So we went to the building, and this guy went from not being able to walk at all, going in the ring, and he's trying to run the ropes, and you hear, I know for audio only it sounds like sex, but no, he's grunting in pain, but he was doing whatever he could. If you all ever watched the match between him and Shane Douglas for XPW in the ECW arena, you'll see a table spot. And if you look very closely, when he goes through the table, I think ass first, you will actually see a bulge on his lower abdomen area. That was his groin muscle and something else literally snapping. I kid you not. But earlier in the day, we were hanging out and just talking about wrestling. Now, you got to keep this in perspective. This is 2002? I think it is 2002 or 2003. I don't remember exactly what year. But at that time, The Rock was still at the top of his game. And we were just talking about, The Rock and Steve Austin and a few other things. And he revealed to me, he says that in 1990, I don't know if it was 96 or 97, it might have even been 95, but in the mid-90s, WWF wanted Chris Candido to become a trainer, and they wanted him to help bring into the main roster Rocky Maivia and a few others. They wanted him to be a trainer. He didn't want to be a trainer. He felt he still had a lot left in the tank, and he refused to be a trainer. And he ended up going back to ECW and ultimately WCW. And he continued with his career. But yeah, in the mid-90s, because look, the reason why I'm bringing this story up today is because I know all of you are starting to hear about what Ember Moon said in that interview with Chris Van Vliet. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, anybody that asks me about that Ember Moon interview, I'm going to answer it like this. I'm going to talk about it on Saturday. The reason why I'm going to talk about it on Saturday is because I want to get the full transcript. Because what you're seeing online right now is garbage reporting, and pay attention to me, and clickbait and everything else. Ember Moon was not throwing shade at Mandy Rose. Anybody that chose that one paragraph that they wanted Ember Moon to dress sexier, to look like Mandy Rose, they're leaving out the next 2 or 3 sentences where Ember Moon says this is not about Mandy Rose. She makes it clear this is not a dig on Mandy Rose, but most people stopped at that first paragraph like, oh, this is perfect. Oh, we could now go. And meanwhile, if you actually watch the interview, she's crying. Now, look, crocodile tears, we've seen it everywhere. I'm not accusing her of having crocodile tears. But before you really invest a lot of time and energy in that Ember Moon interview, watch the whole clip. Do not stop after the first 3 sentences because, oh, this is gossip material. You got to pay attention to the full transcript. And I will read that on Saturday. Shout out to Vincent Ricci. I know he is a longtime listener. He loves JD, Solid Monster, and myself. We are his triple threat of podcast. And hey, I'm in good company, man. I'm in almost royalty. You know, none of us are royalty. You know, I say almost royalty. Yes, Chaos Georgianne was an amazing lady. But this is why I'm bringing up the Chris Candido story with the trainer, because they wanted Ember Moon to do the same thing. They were going to let Ember Moon, they were going to release her, and they wanted her to stay on as a trainer. And she got very insulted by it. And she's like, no, I still want to wrestle. I still have a lot to offer. You know what's the weird part about it? And it just fucking hit me. Isn't Ember Moon 33 years old also? I think she's 33. So, you know, how crazy is that? I mean, because Ember Moon got released, what, a year or two ago? So she was, what, 31, 32? That's, you know, a little bit younger, well, a little older, actually, than Chris Candido, because Chris Candido passed in 2005, and WWF wanted him to be a trainer in like 95 or 6. That's 9 years before. He was still, why does that sound so young? That sounds crazy. That's crazy that WWE would want people in their 20s and 30s to be trainers. I don't get it. I think it was a little bit later than that time, but still, you know, that guy passed away way too soon. And, you know, look, I know Tammy, there's a lot of horrible stuff going on right now, and it's honestly just getting started. But I will never forget also, you know, we did a beautiful tribute show for Chris Candido. I think we did 2. I should played you not too long ago, CM Punk, and he wrestled Ian Rotten. And I gave you the unedited match, that Title Match Network. Is that the place that totally butchered it? I own the rights to the original fucking match. And there's like 7 minutes of content that they omitted to make it look like a masterpiece online, even though it wasn't. But it was still a fun match. But I remember all the tributes and the donations and everything that came in. And if I remember correctly, didn't NWA TNA give Tammy a turkey? Didn't she give him like no, I think it was a roasted ham, like a honey ham. Like, you send flowers, you send a plant, you send fucking meat. I'm not kidding. They sent her meat as sympathies, our condolences. Here's some meat. I to this day, I always wanted to know who was the person behind that meat. And I'm not talking about Sean Stasiak either. Oh, man. Best wishes go out to Hangman Page. If you're not aware of it, he is currently dealing with COVID. And actually, from what few people told me, it got him a little bit harder than other wrestlers out there. You know, a lot of wrestlers that have recently been hit with COVID, some have showed no symptoms whatsoever. And he apparently got hit pretty good with it. So let's hope that Hangman Page is well enough to return next week. Also, best wishes go out to Serena Deeb. She had the Philadelphia street fight with Hikaru Shida, and she got banged up pretty good. Wow. That looks like it freaking hurts. Wow. Serena Deeb. I mean, she's obviously in the latter years of her wrestling career, but if you just look at overall ability in the current crop of women's wrestling, she's got to be in the top 10. Maybe she's not the greatest on the mic, even though I think she does a pretty damn good job of it, but she really should be in top 10. And her as a trainer for the Stars of Tomorrow, she definitely is doing a lot of good. AEW from Wednesday, the ratings came in today, and for several weeks in a row, rating has gone down. 921, still not a bad number, but, you know, again, people could blame it on NBA. You know, what was it, you know, a month ago? Was it football? What was it before that? Was it baseball? Was it politics? Was it the war? Was it this? You look at about a month or so after CM Punk came in, and they can't get past that 900,000 to million viewership rating. And, I'm not saying that AEW is peaked, but man, I mean, what it comes down to yesterday is that fans chose to watch something else than your product. Period. When NBA, look, SmackDown scored higher than NBA, I think, in like some demos last Friday. Did you see those networks for the NBA say, well, SmackDown was on and that's why our rating was bad? You never ever see any other entertainment company. You never see any other basketball sports outlet network. Nobody ever say, well, AEW was on. Well, WWE was on. Imagine if all these schmucks were basketball journalists. Could you imagine that? Oh, well, Rampage was on, and that's why our game kind of like fizzled out. Fans just... Seriously. They covered across the board. That's different. But pro wrestling is the only form of entertainment, sports entertainment, that is filled with schmucks that will blame every rating on something else. It's always an outside reason. No, your viewers, your fans, your supporters chose to do something else instead of your product. Trust me, everyone out there should feel like that. Even if it's a podcast, even if it's a TV show, a sports show, an entertainment show, a movie, a reality show, news, you have a loyal fan base and they decide to not tune in, you should ask yourself, okay, why did they not tune in? Okay, well, they did something else. Okay, what do I do to make my product that much better? No, and Tony Khan's going to make another announcement. That's not the answer. Tony Khan's going to make another announcement. Big announcement coming on Dynamite. That's not how you do it. That's crackerjack shit. So what they got to do is they got to figure out what will change a lot of wrestling fans' minds to tune in. Now, you see my watch parties. We did a little contest this week, and Dreamers Lane won the John Cena Peacemaker autograph photo and the Austin Theory signed photo. The reason why I chose those two is because that is a heavily rumored match for WrestleMania 39. If you want to be part of the watch party tomorrow night for SmackDown, tomorrow night, somebody live in the watch party is going to win this autograph photo of Sasha Banks. You show me any other place online that has that. This is straight from WWE. I got WrestleMania photos coming. Johnny Knoxville, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Ronda Rousey wearing their WrestleMania outfits, posing before the event even happened. And thank God, because if Bianca Belair would have posed after her WrestleMania match, she would have looked like Popeye. She would have been like, because of her swollen eye. So somebody is going to win that photo and this photo. Sasha Banks with that look like, hey, are you looking at my butt? Are you looking at my butt? Beautiful photos. I have more than one. Somebody's going to win that tomorrow. So yeah, do a little giveaways, get a few people more to tune in, have a good time, maybe sample it. They haven't checked it out before. Look at Dreamers Lane. His first time at a watch party ends up winning the two photos the other day. So that's what you do. You want to get a little more interaction, a little more interest, you got to do things for it. I did get a laugh out of this. Why do we have a little error over here? I see a little playback. Chat room, you still see me? I got to make sure that you still see me. Hold on. I don't know why, but I see a little error on the stream. My apologies. I know this sounds like a little bit unprofessional, but chat room, can you see me? Oh, you can. All right. So it's just my playback screen. All right. False alarm. Okay. I got a kick out of this. I know I'm jumping ahead, but on Rampage this Friday, we got Samoa Joe defending the Ring of Honor Championship. Again, right now, Ring of Honor in name only, taking up, AEW time, taking on Trent Beretta. Okay. Swerve Strickland versus Darby Allin. Winner qualifies for the Owen Hart tournament. We got Jade Cargill, Red Velvet, and Kiera Hogan versus Willow Nightingale, Trish Adora, and Sky Blue. Gee, I wonder who's going to win on that match. You have Colton Gunn versus Keith Lee. And then I laughed at this one. AEW posted, and I'll read it for those with audio only. They write, this Friday, warning everyone, warning, bad impersonation coming. Especially one that has not been practiced by yours truly. This Friday on Rampage, this is their words, this Friday on Rampage, the long-awaited face-to-face confrontation between Hook and Danhausen will finally go down. The long-awaited face-to-face. And I'm sorry, everyone. When I thought about that, I was like, okay, again, I swear to you, I did not watch any Danhausen right before I went live so I could have like his voice in my mind. So this is going to be brutal. But I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, finally, everyone, the long-awaited face-to-face. Well, what about this? Or what about this? Or maybe, what about this? Or what about this? Come on. You have 5 fucking confrontations already. You have potato chips, Rampage, here, there. What the fuck? Seriously. Look at all this shit. The long-awaited confrontation. Get the fuck out of here. Is it going to be bad? No. Me, I would team him up. Seriously. Could you picture him, Dan Hookhausen? Oh, no. The long-awaited face-to-face. When I did it before, it sounded a little bit better. I don't know. I sound like I got to take a shit. It's going to be good, said no one. Oh, trust me, there's a lot of people online that are like, oh, epic, amazing. I can't wait. The final confrontation. Oh, finally, after all this time, the long-awaited confrontation. I'm like, yeah, okay. What about this? And what about this? And what about this? And what about this? I mean, this is literally 5 different weeks worth of confrontations. Yes, it was cringe. It was definitely cringe. All right. Since we got that crap out of the way, I could close out these photos so I don't have to keep looking at them. Bye. All right. Guys, gals, if you're not aware of it already, this is going to sell out as early as this weekend. The Funko Pops, those dolls, they're coming out with a Paul Heyman. It is not going to be released until July. I think they're about, $15 a piece, maybe even a little less. Maximum you could pre-order is 5. I already got my 5 on order. So if you ever wanted a Paul Heyman Funko Pop doll, whatever, it's cool because if you look closely, it's got the ECW microphone. Can I zoom in? Yeah, I can zoom in a little bit. It's a little off-centered, but it looks pretty cool. I like it. I got 5 on order. It looks a little skinny. It looks a little skinny. He looks like he's got abs, actually. I cannot diss Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is God to me. Shout out to SoFly. What's going on? So quickly, the results from Dynamite this past Wednesday, Dax Harwood over Cash Wheeler to qualify for the Owen Hart tournament. A lot of you, chat room earlier, couple of comments on YouTube. What are my thoughts on them paying tribute to Owen and Bret, Mr. Perfect and Bret? I'll say this, and I'm going to say this complimentary, and I'm also going to say something else. I thought their match was excellent yesterday. I liked the tributes to Bret. I liked the tributes to Owen and Mr. Perfect as well. All right. To me, that comes off more as cosplay than anything else, because when I go back and think about Owen Hart or Bret Hart, I do not recall them, doing sequences to pay tribute to wrestlers that they, looked up to when they were, aspiring to be wrestlers. I don't recall Bret doing that. I don't recall Mr. Perfect doing that. I know they did individual moves because look, wrestling recreate, it copies itself over the years. A lot of moves, but as far as choreographing, like complete sets, the way you react off the turnbuckle, the way you react that's cosplay. That's cosplay. And yes, there is a fan base for it. There is definitely a niche fan base for it. I'm not criticizing the match. Please do not take what I'm saying out of context. I thought their match was great yesterday. But, while you're doing this, I just take a step back. I'm like, I don't recall a lot of these wrestlers doing that. You know who used to do that? Eugene. And maybe, Santino Marella? Didn't he do but it was mostly Eugene. If you're going to cosplay entire sets, like going in the turnbuckle and, doing a move and a counter move and a reverse and thrown in the corner and this and that. And it's people are putting it side by. I saw today a video of side by side, Bret and Mr. Perfect and last night's match. And for about 30, 35 seconds of it, it was identical. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. It's a nice tribute. I don't recall Bret doing shit like that. Show me a Bret match from back in the day, 30 seconds of it, where it's exactly copied from a match from years before. So, it's nice. It's nice. But, the problem is they're getting into a fucking habit of doing that. CM Punk did it. Now you got FTR doing it. Bret Hart ain't fucking dying tomorrow. You don't have cancer. He didn't pass away. Tribute. All right, cool. Put something on your tights, put something on your wristband or whatever else, but this now thing like, oh, I'll pay tribute to somebody that I respect and appreciate. So I'll pretend we're going to do exactly what they did for 30 seconds. It's becoming a habit. And I don't think that's a good habit to do. I'm very curious to see what Jim Cornette has to say about that. I'm not talking about the wrestling. The wrestling was beautiful yesterday. They put on a banger of a match. I wonder what his thoughts are about them cosplaying 30 to 45 seconds of exact, moments of an earlier, match from yesteryear. So, okay. Moxley, Danielson, and Yuta over QT Marshall, Nick Comoroto, and Aaron Solo. Wardlow over Lance Archer, and the big news is that Wardlow next week is probably going to fight Big Cass. My honest reaction to that is I've been watching Big Cass on Impact. It's not going to be like, oh my God, look at him. Hey, he looks great. Oh my God, I haven't seen him in ages. And these are people that cover Impact Wrestling. They do it every time, everyone. You wait till next week. You wait till you see some of those podcasters and journalists. They get like, oh my God, he looks great. Oh, I thought you covered Impact every week. William Morrissey? What is Big Cass William Morrissey's older brother? The Undisputed Elite. Yeah, this was the throwaway match that we talked about last week that was coming. The Undisputed Elite beat Dante Martin, Brian Pillman Jr., Griff Garrison, Lee Johnson, and Brock Anderson. And Scorpio Sky regained the TNT Championship yesterday, beating Sammy Guevara. The big news coming out of that match is this. That's all I got to do. For everybody in audio only, I'm just, drawing circles around my ear like cuckoo, cuckoo. I like Sammy Guevara. And yes, I did see, everybody hunting down the one moron that was going to say something outrageously stupid about Sammy Guevara so they could all, use that as, a way to, defend what the move and everything else. That's what people do. There's always going to be a troll out there. There's always going to be an asshole out there that's going to say something dumb, that's going to say something to try to get under your skin. And when these people out there seek out for one dumb schmuck to say something stupid, and then it blows up so everybody could give their, defending of Sammy Guevara, the move was ridiculous, but I would never wish injury on someone. You got to ignore these weirdos because that's what they want. You don't think when this guy tweeted to Sammy, Look, nothing personal, but I wish you would have broke your neck yesterday. All right. The guy knows exactly what he's doing. He's not, just writing it so it gets buried or downvoted. No, he wants to trigger a reaction. Psst, hook, line, and sinker. Everybody falls for it. My honest take on Sammy Guevara's move off the ladder. Stupid. Sammy Guevara doesn't have to do things like this. I think Tony Khan needs to pull Sammy Guevara aside and say, Sammy, anything you want to do in the ring, if you think to yourself that it would fall into this category, don't do it. Don't do it. If the guy gets a serious injury, it's an injury that is avoidable. You cut a promo. I know what I do is going to take years off of my career, but I wouldn't do anything otherwise for my fans. That sounds noble. Let me repeat that. When Sammy Guevara cut that, and again, I'm a big Sammy Guevara fan. I love what they're doing right now. I love the heel turn, everything like that. But when Sammy Guevara gets on the mic and says, look, I know what I'm doing. It's going to take years off of my career, but I do it because I love my fans. That's stupider than jackass people. Hey, listen, I know jumping off a building, it's going to cut years off of my career, but I'm doing it anyway because everybody enjoys it. No, you're not a crash test dummy. That's stupid. At the end, it's noble, but it's fucking stupid. When the guy has to retire at 30 years old because his body, look, Spanish God, trust me, this God from above didn't make our bodies to withstand that kind of pain and injury. I don't care how much weights you lift. I don't care how healthy the food you eat. I don't care how low your percentage of body fat is. Your body is not meant to take that kind of abuse. And it's going to catch up. If you love people like Bret Hart, and others, you realize that Bret Hart didn't do shit like that to cut down on his career. You look at Dynamite Kid. Does Sammy Guevara want to be the next Dynamite Kid? That this motherfucker is going to be in a wheelchair and get loony from all of the concussions and everything else the guy takes? Think about the people that you idolized growing up that made you want to become a wrestler. This is my message to Sammy. I doubt he'll ever see it, but this is my message, and I'm saying it sincerely. Whoever you watched growing up that inspired you to be a wrestling fan, think to yourself, especially if they had long, successful careers, did they ever have to do this? Did they ever have to do moves that literally cut years off of their career? Now, if you turn around and you say to me, oh, yeah, well, I like Dynamite Kid and I like Cactus Jack and I like, and you start naming all the people that fucking cut their careers short unnecessarily, then, yeah, you follow in the same footsteps. It's only a matter of time that you do the same thing. But when people say to me, oh, I idolize Chris Jericho. Oh, love Bret Hart growing up. He's the inspiration. Those motherfuckers didn't do any of that stuff. They didn't do any of that stuff. There's no reason for him to do that stuff. And believe me, if that guy ever goes to WWE, you're going to see a much different Sammy Guevara. I've seen a lot of people, VJ, who have fallen off of ladders and they land straight down like a bad cartoon. They almost paralyze themselves. They break arms, break legs. Just unnecessary. I mean, I know there's an adrenaline rush. Look, I have taken some spots. You've seen some of them. And yes, there is an adrenaline high from it, but there's got to be a limitation somewhere. And that stuff is just unnecessary. What? So you can have a YouTube moment for the rest of your life? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You see FTR yesterday getting This Is Awesome chance. You see Dustin and CM Punk getting This Is Awesome chance. And you see some others getting This Is Awesome chance. Guess what? None of them during their match had to do this and then proceed with a dumb move. That's what I have to say about that yesterday. So we had for this Friday, I gave you the Rampage preview already. Next Wednesday, we got Deonna Purrazzo versus Mercedes Martinez to unify the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Again, another Ring of Honor match. I'm not crapping on the matches. It's going to be cool to see Deonna Purrazzo wrestle in AEW. But she's not signed to any deal, any contract. Until I see that she's all elite, it's a one-time deal. Giving them, a spot, it's okay. But, remember what I said, just because Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor doesn't mean that suddenly a million people want to watch Ring of Honor on TV. And sooner or later, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to start complaining about this stuff. But hey, this is what they want to do. Like I said, it feels like Tony Khan is more about pleasuring himself. And he feels that what he likes, everybody else should like also, or they do like. Wardlow versus what we said is probably going to be Big Cass. Jeff Hardy versus Bobby Fish, and the winner qualifies for the Owen Hart tournament. So NXT this past week, Nikita Lyons over Last Legend, Von Wagner over Tony D'Angelo, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter over Valentina Feroz, Luisa Leon. I like, I didn't think about it, but I brought it up yesterday. I like that they changed Casey Catanzaro to Katana Chance, so all of her outfits that have the initials KC on it, she could still use them. Legado del Fantasma over Josh Briggs and Fallon Henley. Solo Sikoa over Trick Williams. The Viking Raiders, yes, we will get into them in a second, over Malik Blade and Idris Inofi. And Mandy Rose over Roxanne Perez. I was very surprised at how many people were upset that Roxanne Perez lost. Had a high-profile match like that, and she lost to Mandy Rose yesterday. She's 20 fucking years old. She's 20 years old. Just because people loved her in Ring of Honor and on the indie circuit doesn't mean that she goes right to the top in WWE. This was her introduction to the WWE universe to see what she actually could do. And she's going to improve and she's going to build. She just started. I don't know why people were upset that she had such a high-profile match yesterday and lost. She's still young. No need to push her to the moon this quickly. So NXT did 577, slightly up from last week's 569. Now, next week is Spring Breakin', and we have Braun Breaker versus Joe Gacy for the NXT title. Cameron Grimes defending the NXT North American Championship against Carmelo Hayes and Solo Sikoa. Viking Raiders versus the Creed Brothers. Cora Jade and Nikita Lyons versus Natalya and Last Legend. Nathan Fraser versus Grayson Waller, and Tony D'Angelo and Santos Escobar will have a sit-down. The meeting of the families. We don't need to repeat that. I think it's going to be good next week with Spring Breakin'. I'm looking forward to it. They're doing a good job. You could see who's really starting to develop nicely. Of course, there's quite a few people that are not ready for prime time. Now, as far as the Viking Raiders go, look, if you tune in to the other shows, I've said this repeatedly. Viking Raiders at this point, and I've said it for a few weeks now, there's only 3 places left for them in WWE. Turn heel, go to NXT, or be released. They just are absolutely stuck in the mud. I don't know if it's WWE Creative's fault. I don't know if it's just they're bland. I don't know if it's a combination thereof. But they sent them to NXT. Now, I've said this before. I love seeing some veteran talent go to NXT to help elevate some stars for tomorrow. I also have said that I like the idea of someone, in this case, 2 wrestlers going to NXT, maybe to try to find themselves, maybe to tweak a few things, maybe to reinvent themselves. Unfortunately for teams like Breezango, once they got there, it was a slow death for that team. I don't know where you go from here with the Viking Raiders. I feel creatively, once they started doing the dumb skits with the Street Profits, I don't know. I don't know if they ever really recovered from that. I know they tried to make them these baby face, everybody loves the Viking Raiders, but they came off more as buffoons than anything else. Javier Lee. How are you doing, Javier Lee? He sent in a 10 spot. Could I see the Brothers of Destruction returning to help AJ Styles against Edge and Priest and Ciampa or Balor? No, Undertaker and Kane will not be returning to the ring. Undertaker is retired. If we ever see Undertaker in a match again, it'll probably be cinematic, and it'll likely be something with WrestleMania. And even that, I don't think it's going to happen. I am still sticking with what I've been saying for about a month now. Ever since Edge turned heel and had Priest join up with him, I want Finn Balor in that group. I think Finn Balor would be ideal. You don't have to put the demon paint back on, but it could be a deeper, darker version of Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor and Damian Priest would be an amazing tag team. And Edge would be more of like a mentor / manager. Edge still wrestles, but Edge will also be a mentor / manager. You think about the Ministry of Darkness. Undertaker was the leader. Undertaker really was not a manager, but Undertaker many times would just be a character on TV and he would wrestle sparingly. So no, I do not see the Brothers of Destruction coming back, especially with Kane and his political career. Kane now is regulated to throwing a choke slam, hitting someone with a choke slam, or somebody laying him out. That's really what Kane has been regulated to. He can still do it a little bit, but his primary goal right now is to be mayor of Knox County. So, all right. So I think we got all the news and the tidbits out of the way. So now I am going to spend the rest of the show, it should be about a half an hour. Still, we're almost an hour already, believe it or not, answering Q&A. And again, for my channel members, they obviously get VIP because this is technically their show, but I will obviously answer other questions as well. All I ask is before your question, just write the letter Q or type the word question so it stands out, because I know a lot of you out there are chatting with each other and it'll be easier for me to see your question. And spread it around too. Spread it around too. You know, if you ask something and I answer it, you know, wait a few minutes and you could ask again something else. So, all right. So we're like 6-second delay, so we should start seeing questions pop up right now. There was something else I wanted to plug. I can't remember what it was. I'll tell you later. VJ, do I think AEW hiring Paul White and Mark Henry was a waste? Absolutely not. Matt Hardy, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Paul White, Mark Henry, they offer so much wisdom, advice. Mark Henry and Paul White, probably more because they're more contemporary. So many wrestlers, even the ones that think their shit don't stink, they all go to Mark Henry and Paul White. Hey, could you watch my match? Hey, you know, could you look at my match and tell me, you know, anything, you know, an opinion, something I'm doing wrong? Those guys offer invaluable, is that not, wait, valuable? No, it's not invaluable. They offer valuable advice and they mentor some of the younger, hungrier stars of tomorrow. So just because you don't see them used all that much on TV does not mean that they're not doing things behind the scenes. I love that AEW brings in some veterans. When I heard Bryan Danielson working with Jay Cargill and others to try to help them come along the way. Bryan Danielson was not hired as a trainer, but the man loves pro wrestling so much, and the man loves to help others. Of course, he wants to get paid for his job. He's not going to Tony Khan, hey, I helped that person. No, but they love to try to give back. Believe me, when some of these wrestlers were very young in their careers, you had veterans from yesteryear offer some wisdom advice to them. This is a wonderful thing. So no, their value is much more than what you see on camera. Noob, always showing love to me online. Do I think Asuka should turn heel if she's going to feud with Bianca Belair, since fans want to see a serious side of Asuka? Well, we just got Asuka back. We're happy to see her back. Right now, she's going to feud with Becky. It's going to be more than a week or two worth of a feud, because you're not going to move on that quickly, because then who does Becky feud with? Remember, the women's division is a little bit smaller than I think people realize sometimes. So, no, I don't think Asuka should turn heel. I think she is fine right now. The fans absolutely love her. And WWE, especially on Raw, does not have that many huge women baby faces. I don't consider Sasha Banks and Naomi Raw wrestlers. I consider them SmackDown stars, even though they're the champions. So I say no. Leave Asuka as a babyface right now. KD is asking me, what golden girl am I? I am none of those golden girls. Somebody asked me on Patreon yesterday, if I was what character in Goodfellas could I identify the most with? And I answered it. First I was like, nobody. And then I thought about it. I'm like, no, I'd probably be Paulie. I'd definitely be cooking myself like a sausage sandwich and sitting in the corner, keeping to myself, thinking in my mind, like, who am I going to fuck over next? That's not sometimes I make jokes and some people immediately think, oh, he's talking about this person. He's talking about, there's no drama, everyone. We've completely moved on. A mighty. Do I think that AEW is starting to lose its touch, or they will rebound? Well, if they have not lost their touch, they don't have to rebound. AEW has to grow. It has to grow. You can't keep raising shirts to $60 a pop. You can't raise pay-per-views to $70 a pop. You might be able to add a couple of extra pay-per-views a year, but believe me when I tell you, fans are going to start complaining about paying $60 a month to watch AEW programming. They have to build the fan base. Because, again, when you see Brandon Thurston, who does a beautiful job looking at AEW's growth in the last 3 years, the guy works his ass off. The guy does a wonderful job. But there is one statistic that is absent from his research that nobody confronts him about. He has no idea how much money Tony Khan is paying out, and he doesn't have any idea how much money AEW is taking in. A publicly traded company, you see the quarterly financial reports all the time. Every quarter you get a financial report. You get a year-end statement. You could monitor every little aspect as far as WWE revenue. With AEW, you have no idea. And believe me when I tell you, if AEW is drawing some really nice profit right now, I'm sure there would be news articles about it. I'm sure there would be press releases about it. I'm sure Tony Khan would be rubbing in the bots' faces about it. But that is absent, what everybody's saying. So again, as I've said before, you take in $100 million, okay, what if you're putting out $150 million? When you're a billionaire, you can afford that for 10, 15, 20 years. Sure you can. But, that aspect is missing. We have no idea how much money AEW is losing a year. And as of right now, all the experts that are not biased all believe that AEW is definitely, taking in less money than they put out. Sure, a new company, you will have to do that for several years. They will turn it around financially, but they do have to grow their audience further. They have to grow their audience further, because if you have that loyal fan base and you already have that established revenue and you're getting 150,000 buys, how do you generate more money? Adding more pay-per-views, raising prices, no, you got to bring in more people. So I don't think AEW has any issues right now. Other than that, they have to figure out a way to generate more viewers. And I honestly think that culture online, that climate, if the toxic shit would stop, if a lot of wrestlers within AEW, and it starts with Tony Khan, if they would go online and start calling out their biggest supporters that are the biggest trolls of them all and say, look, I appreciate it, but you all got to stop this shit. If you really care and you want to see, you got to stop. We welcome everyone. Not everybody needs to know CM Punk's Ring of Honor history. Not everybody needs to know that FTR was cosplaying Bret and Owen yesterday. And when someone doesn't, know that, you got a whole ton of people on social media that put them in, what are you, stupid? What, you don't know? Oh man, you really need to learn. You're like, why would I want to be around that? Why would I want to be around that? So they got to improve that. Okay. I watched some of the WWE Evils. I enjoyed them. The Sasha Banks one was interesting because I probably liked that the second most next to Randy Orton stuff. But, it's just funny that she is such a beloved babyface and they're trying to paint her off as one of the biggest evil. I mean, it's more fluff pieces. But, you had to put a mixture of yesteryear and today, obviously. But they're not bad. They're not bad. I don't have much of a problem with them. RMJ says he is blocked by JBL, Goldust, Kofi, Xavier Woods, R-Truth, and The Big Show. I used to be blocked by JBL a long time ago. He removed that, and I have had nothing but support for him for well over a decade. We're going back to when he did the goose step. So of all those people, the only person that has me blocked, I don't think Xavier has me blocked anymore. I don't think he has me blocked anymore. Michael Gonzalez, do I think Randy Orton will be a 3-time Hall of Famer with himself going in by himself, Evolution, and Rated RKO? No, not Rated RKO. Legendary tag team with, Edge, what he's doing now with Riddle, but no, that's not Hall of Fame. We've had tons of tag teams. There's a very, very, very rare few that go in, like the Steiners or the Road Warriors. No, I think Randy would go in simply by himself and for Evolution. My favorite wrestler right now is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens. Kaya David says that Guru from Gangstar passed away. Did that just happened? Oh shit. I used to really be a fan of Gangstar. Can't say it like Gangsta. Gangstar back in the day. Wow. That was right at the verge where I started falling out of love with hip hop. Because after a while, everything was about anti-cop and black militant and, black versus white and, East versus West. Me, I like to I have said this before, back in the day, I like to hang out at the park and I would say the lyrics, and after a while you're doing the lyrics, and especially when you're talking about like Public Enemy and you realize they're talking about like South Africa and stuff like that. You have a white Italian guy in Howard Beach, Queens, and he's a black militant. Like, it doesn't look like I look like a goof, to be honest with you. Are Asuka, Shida, and Xia Li some of the hottest women in wrestling right now? Honestly, you got to answer it like this. Who is not hot? I mean, I really can't, and I'm not trying to play political correctness here. I've mellowed out over the years for various reasons, but, every woman is attractive in some way. You know, I don't want to single anybody out, but there's really nobody. Hell, I even think that Abaddon is sexy because I know what she looks like without the makeup. Now, I honestly, joking around, I know I won't get in trouble with this. Like, you know, could I ever be intimate with someone dressed like that? You know, no, probably not. Even if I took my significant other to a Halloween party and she put on the makeup like Abaddon, and then, you know, she don't even take the makeup off at home, and she's like, hey, let's go inside. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm still thinking about when I did the impersonation of Gollop the other day. My precious. Oh, and I am sincerely sorry to everyone out there, especially audio, with me impersonating that fan that fawned over Tammy Sitch. My volume, somehow, I have an auto level, and after I did that, the auto level went off. So as soon as I started going, like everything, I listened back and I'm like, what the hell happened to the audio after that? I did see the video of Bobby Lashley falling out of the ring. Honestly, I'm not trying to downplay it. It's scary. For those that don't know, WWE's overseas right now. And during a match, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, I don't know if Sammy's name was in the match too, but he was running the ropes and the ring rope broke and he fell backwards outside the ring. The bottom line is he was okay. It was scary and it shook him up because it was taken by surprise. But if you look at a lot of the websites tonight, they're clickbaiting. Horrifying moment. Bobby Lashley, horrifying moment during the match. He was okay. He was okay. You know, scary incident. You know, you think of word it a little bit better because the way it's worded, you think that Bobby Lashley got seriously injured. And you click on it and you watch it, and then they cut it off before he gets up to make it look like that he's out down for the count. You know, I think it's a little bit deceiving online, but I did see that. And the ring ropes have broke over the years. I mean, it happens, and it's not fun. I mean, I never had it happen to me, but I watched it up close and personal. And that shit is scary, especially when you have all your weight, you're going backwards. Woof. KD doesn't think trios or 3 tag titles should be introduced in AEW because it would completely devalue the tag titles. I got news for you. I think the trios titles might be more popular than the tag titles. They could end up, I mean, look, FTR, Young Bucks, they're always going to be considered some of the elite tag teams in the world. So they have no worries, you know, but the trios titles, because of the creativity, because of the 3-person team that you could put together. No, I think, look, I said that was one of my predictions last year for 2022. AEW debuts trios titles. I definitely think it's necessary. They keep doing trios matches. You might as well have a title on the line. I personally think what AEW is doing, you know, I said last year in November that 2022 is going to be the year of the contract. People are going to get unfortunately, a wake-up call about AEW contracts. But I also think that 2022 is going to be the year of the tournament for AEW because this is their way of just throwing people together in matches without a storyline attached to it. Oh, just put these 2 people, qualifying match for a tournament. Why do we need qualifying matches? Why do I need unknown female number 3 fighting Britt Baker to qualify for the Owen Hart tournament? Why do we need that? Seriously. Throw the fucking the brackets together and put the matches on TV. They're trying to milk this for 6 months. And I think once the Owen Hart tournament concludes, now you're going to see a tournament for the trios belts. AEW, that's one of their things. Tournament. It's never going to stop. There's always going to be tournaments. You might have a couple of weeks respite, but as soon as this Owen Hart thing gets milked There's going to be so much milking going on. The cows have their nipples will be sore. They're milking this for way too long. But if we're getting good matches in the process, I'm fine with it. But you see some of the people, especially in the women's side. I mean, nothing against the women that are not household names. But tell me why the fuck, some of these women in this tournament should be even given the privilege of being in an elite tournament with Owen Hart. So, I don't know. All right. I think Bayley, Twix, good question. I think Bayley should come back as a babyface. I think the fans would erupt when she comes back. I think she could be, I don't want to say a little bit Piperish, but when Roddy Piper came back in the day, the boss is back. He was still an obnoxious asshole, but he was a babyface. I think you bring back Bayley as a fan favorite, but you keep her as the obnoxious asshole. I don't think she needs to hug. Let her be the obnoxious asshole, but this time she instigates Charlotte and a few others. Let's see. All right. Take some more questions. Start bringing this home. Saturday, we got a big show. Big show Saturday. Yes, we will break down what Ember Moon said a little bit further, and I will talk about Becky Lynch's comments about the AEW women's division. Some very disingenuous people out there that are really taking a horrible side about this. I have a lot to say. If you're part of our Patreon family, I gave a little bit an opening argument yesterday with that. But when she talks about that the AEW women are not utilized the way the WWE women are, you got people that are like, well, AEW TV is only 3 hours and WWE is 5 hours. What a awful, stupid, moronic, goofy argument to take. So I'm actually going to throw some scientific data on Saturday. We're going to divide the amount of time that AEW has per week, and then we're going to divide that by the amount of minutes the women are featured in the ring during the week. And we take a percentage of it. See, if I only have 60 minutes on TV and I'm on 30 minutes of that 60, that means I'm on 50% of the time. But if I'm on if there's a 3-hour show on TV and I'm on an hour and a half, I'm on 50% of the time. But if that 3-hour show I'm only on for 30 minutes, somebody could say, well, this person's on 30 minutes of an hour, but this person's on 30 minutes of a 3-hour. Now the percentages change because you realize 70% of the show is the men. So we'll talk about it Saturday. And I think everybody needs to remember Becky Lynch was asked the question, and everybody seems to leave that aspect out. Becky just didn't decide to go on social media to troll the AEW women. By the way, everybody leaves out what Dustin Rhodes said about the AEW women's division. John Vickers, do I think WWE will bring back Bray Wyatt? This was a great topic of discussion on Sunday. Bray Wyatt is asking a lot of money to return to wrestling. That is the primary reason why Tony Khan, pretty much a guarantee, will not be bringing him in, because the asking price is just way over the top. Bray Wyatt is a very smart man. And Bray Wyatt knows that WWE entertainment company, record profits, billion-dollar company. I brought this up on Sunday. It's like an eBay auction. You see something on eBay, and you have extra money, you really want something bad enough, you will overpay for it. And Bray Wyatt realizes that WWE is making so much money that if they really want Bray Wyatt back in their company, they're going to have to open up the ranch, fam. They're going to have to completely open up the books. I do believe WWE will bring him back. The big question is, what version do we get? Me, I want the original Bray Wyatt. I don't want the demented Mr. Rogers, and I don't want the Fiend. Even though, and I showed some of this on Sunday, even though so much of my collectible stuff and merchandise that I still haven't given away is all Firefly Funhouse and Fiend stuff. I mean, I still have 9 Fiend bobbleheads that WWE sent me. Still got 9 of them. So, it's really what version. But yeah, I do believe he'll come back. Player 3-on-3. I am a dress shoe kind of guy. No joke. Right now, this is my shoe of choice. Are these? I don't even remember what brand these are. But yeah, these are my shoes of choice. So I don't wear the white ones anymore. That's Miami Vice shit. But I don't wear sneakers all that much. I don't like sneakers. And I don't like laced shoes either. I like slip-ons. KD. Good. I mentioned this earlier. I'll say it again. Congratulations to Dreamer's Lane. He won the NXT Watch Party giveaway. He gets the John Cena and Austin Theory photos. Peacemaker is not cut off. This is just because the screen is enlarged. It actually would look like that kind of. He actually came closest to the afternoon lottery number in New York, so he got the prize. And again, tomorrow, if you are part of the SmackDown Watch Party, somebody is going to win not only this autograph photo of Sasha Banks, probably the most popular outfit she has worn in recent memory, but you'll also get this signed photo. It is Sasha Banks with the, hey, what are you looking at my butt? She's got that pose on her face. Can I zoom in a little bit? No, I can't. Okay. So yeah, somebody is going to win that photo, and they're also going to win this photo. You're going to get both. And then next week, we start getting into the big ones. We got some really, really good ones. I got Vince McMahon photos. They're all going to be in the watch parties. We're going to keep them in the watch parties for now. Jon Moxley returns to WWE. Would he come back under the Jon Moxley name or Dean Ambrose? I'll be honest with you. If WWE was smart, bring him back as Jon Moxley. The only problem is, here's the problem. WWE is so into their intellectual property. I know a lot of people, because AEW does not do that, I know a lot of people still don't understand. That's why they changed Kaylee Ray's name. That's why they changed Casey Catanzaro. That's why they changed Walter's name and others. Intellectual property. If that star becomes a mega star and that person leaves, their value is diminished going elsewhere. They can't use a character, a name, a gimmick that WWE created. That's the way they've been operating for decades and decades and decades. It's nothing new. But if WWE was smart, they bring him in as Jon Moxley. The problem is WWE does not own the name Jon Moxley. I don't know if they would do that. I think they would have to work out something with Moxley. They would have to work out something. And I don't know what WWE, maybe WWE would be a little bit relaxed with it. Maybe that would be part of the negotiation. I don't know. But you got to remember, intellectual property is one of WWE's. Look, and you realize all of the merch they sell, it's not just T-shirts and a couple autograph photos. You walk into a store, you got napkins, candles, playing cards, air fresheners, underwears, underoos, T-shirts, jeans, shorts. I mean, you go online, there's everything. So their intellectual property, they want that. So that would be an issue. That would be an issue. What am I looking forward to most after getting married? No, just, just continuing my relationship, I mean, we're making it official. We've been together for 10 years. It's about time to get married, She is a wrestling fan, and I think everybody should absolutely appreciate her because she has never given me that ultimatum. It's either me or the shows. She does get a little bit annoyed sometimes if we're having a little bit of downtime or a little bit of private time, and I'm like, I got to get ready for the show. And she's like, come on, skip the show for today. I'm like, nah, there's people. I hyped it up, got to make a couple of, I'm paying off my wedding. So I'm trying to work my ass off. Once I get married, I'm still going to keep doing these shows as long as you keep all tuning in. But no, I don't think much will change. Probably have to get a secret bank account or something to hide my money. So, joking. Cute Kanji. Welcome. Do I think wrestling needs more of the general interviewers like Sean Mooney, Mean Gene Okerlund, Doc Hendricks? Are they not there along with managers the way they used to be? Well, see, this is why I had such an open mind about LA Knight. And Edge, doing this a little bit. I miss managers. And obviously, not every wrestler is going to have a spectacular wrestling career. Just because they're passionate, just because they think their worth is more, doesn't necessarily end up that way. And some wrestlers down the line may end up being better managers than they were wrestlers. I think Captain Lou Albano is like a perfect example of that. He sucked as a wrestler. It's horrible. Even when he came back for novelty matches, I brought it up. Go watch him teaming up with Morocco. He'll get punched in the face. He don't take a back bump. He don't fall. He just turns around and walks the other way. It's like, those Roombas on the floor? Like it's rolling down the thing and it bumps into a wall and it just goes, like it just bumps it. That's what Lou Albano. You just like, you hit him and he just turns around and walks the other way. Sometimes he would hit him. He would walk across the other side of the ring and then just walk through the ropes. Sells nothing. So managers, yes. Interviewers, not so much. Not so much. It's nice to have an old school person do an interview, be like that Mean Gene Okerlund and stuff, but it's not necessary in today's age, especially when, people could cut good promos. But managers, I want to see more of. And I'll tell you what's cool. 10 years from now, some of the wrestlers that you see now, they will make excellent managers. That is one thing. 10, 15 years from now, you're going to have some awesome managers as long as they want to do that. That is going to be pretty freaking sweet. Some people are going to be incredible managers down the line. Harris, good evening to you, Harris. Do I wish WWE could attempt to make the second, third hour of Raw more edgy like a few years ago? Okay. He's comparing it when Raw is War and then Warzone. The problem is, after 10 o'clock, they might put something that is a little bit more, I don't want to say adult oriented. They're TV PG. They're not going to change that. You know what's interesting? Just to show you that just because something is TV 14 doesn't mean that it's automatically attractive to an older crowd. You look at Raw and they're 18 to like 34, demo. They get a certain number. AEW gets a certain number. But then you look at ratings wise and you look at the children that are into the products, and WWE obviously gets a much bigger following. WWE is always going to come off as family entertainment. Yes, once they get to 10 o'clock, you might hear an expletive here or there. You might see something that might be a little bit more risque. But WWE will never change that. The only way that would change is if it's a sign of the times. And WWE is not going to take away that family-friendly atmosphere. They're just not going to change it. When they have the revenue that they have, it's hard to fight it. That's why I say there's a lot of WWE creative that is terrible. It's no question. It's not for me. It's not for you. Some of it is obviously for more kids and family, parents laughing with their kids. Some of it is awful. But it's hard to argue it when you see that kind of revenue coming in. Imagine being a stockholder, or imagine having a meeting and they're reporting all his record numbers. And then I say, yeah, but Bruce Pritchard sucks. This storyline is horrible. Like, I know, you see where I'm going with that? Like, you look at it, they're about pleasing investors and stockholders. At the end of the day, it's about them. It's about fans and, revenue. If fans start turning off the product in droves, the revenue will go down. The ticket sales will go down. The subscriptions will go down. The merchandise sales will go down. But as long as that doesn't go down, it's a very selfish argument to make. There are aspects about WWE that I don't like. But if I make that argument, it's a very selfish argument because it's such a successful company. And I know what some people will say. Well, could you imagine how much even more money they can make if they just fix this and fix this? How do you know that? How do you know that? You look at Cornette's thinking, and he is extremely old school, technical side, doesn't like the jackass stuff, doesn't like hardcore, the hardcore just for having hardcore. And I get it. But if you go to one extreme and no, you have to give a little bit for everybody. And something I may not like, someone else would like. And I use the jackass match, Knoxville versus Sami Zayn, as an example. It's very hard to call that match shit when you're looking at the camera. Forget Cole's reaction and McAfee's reaction. Look at the fans. When they're all out of their seat, losing their shit. For that, how could you really argue that? You know what it's like? It's like pretend you have kids. Pretend you have kids, all right? Or you have a little niece and nephew. And you take them to some little kids concert and they're going to see somebody perform. And you're watching this person perform and you're like, this is fucking awful. Fuck is this? This is horrendous. But you look at all the kids and they're screaming, they're singing along, they're all having a great time. But for us, we're looking like, this is fucking horrendous. How is this person, entertaining? It's not for us. And just because it's not for us doesn't mean that it sucks. And I know it's a boring argument, but it's an argument you really have to understand because it's not going to change. WWE is not going to change. It's hard to try to get them to change when you see what's going on. When the revenues really start to dip and downfall, sure, then that's different. But when you see the numbers that they are, it's really hard to fight that. Jeff is asking, do I think the Attitude Era nostalgia is wearing off due to today's climate? The Attitude Era has been wearing off for years. Years and years and years. Even 6, 7, 8 years ago. Dare go on social media and say, hey, remember this bra and panties match? You'll get a flood of women online. What the fuck? Women's wrestling is much more than that. You get the white knights and this, that. There's a lot of aspects of the Attitude Era that people have been crapping on for a long time. The reason why Attitude Era will never fizzle out, though, is because if you were not alive or you were not a fan during the Attitude Era, and you go back and you look at those crowds and there's a trillion signs and it is just filled to the rafters and everybody's just losing their shit. And some of the pops and some of the stuff you're seeing, that's envious. People are envious of that. I want that. That's what a lot of people feel. Oh my God, that's why they want the wars with WWE and AEW to be what they are. They want to feel like this is the Monday Night Wars all over again. Sure, they're not competing on the same night, but they want Tony Khan and Vince McMahon or Tony Khan and Nick Khan to be what it was, what Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff used to be. So, no, it'll never die out. People always want to feel what it was like to be a fan during that time. All right, we're at 90 minutes. We're going to start bringing this home. We're going to get out of here. Just remember, less than 48 hours, I will be up here for a big show Saturday night. And I definitely welcome everyone if you want to come by. Remember, you don't need a personal invitation or a private invitation anymore to be part of the watch party. On my Twitter, at DonTonyD, you will see the link. It is public. All you got to do is click on the link and sign up. I know for some of my international friends out there, if your TV provider is not online, there's nothing we can do yet. I know they just added MLB TV. They added a couple other streaming outlets. So everyone should be able to be available tomorrow in a watch party. So, yeah, I think that's it, everyone. I think that is it. So I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. I don't think the social justice warriors, VJ, will kill some of the funny storylines in wrestling. There will always be people putting stuff down. What you got to do is you can't pay attention to the individuals that are intentionally trying to get noticed. And when you get people like that asshole that said that dumb shit to Sammy Guevara earlier, it was wrong what the guy said, but everybody's like, oh, we found our latest asshole to, now we could put our own spin on it and say, oh, yeah. And they use that to defend for what Sammy did. All right, I'm out of here. Steph, let me say it like this. Steph says she keeps hearing that I have beef with Wrestling Soup. Let me say it like this, as politically correct as I possibly can. I don't have beef with Wrestling Soup. I have no relationship with Wrestling Soup. There's nothing. There's no communication. I don't wish any ill will. Everybody goes their separate ways, and that's the last I talk about it. I don't bring this stuff up anymore. So it is a dead issue. Life goes on. The shows go on, and we will do quite well. So everyone, I never watched The Offer. So, all right, on the way out, if you enjoyed tonight's show, hit that like button. It does help. It sends a message to YouTube. I know this algorithm shit. You've heard it a million times on other shows, but it does send a message to YouTube that you like the show, and they may be more inclined to suggest it to others. Big shout out to everybody who is new to the shows. I read everybody's comments that you send in on YouTube. And every time I see someone say, hey man, just learned about your channel, love it. Believe it or not, some of you out there indirectly probably got that person aboard simply because of recommendations. So I thank you very much. And as far as other people being extremely rude, hey, everybody does what they want to do. I'm not going to be one of them. So everyone, have a great weekend. All the best. Hope you could join us tomorrow for the watch party. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to do some giveaways as well. And then Saturday, I'll be here at 8:05 p.m. Eastern for the Don Tony Show. And I hope you could tune into that, because we definitely have some big topics to talk about. So I'm going to get this online, and I thank you all, as always, for the support. Be well. Much love. And I'll see you all again soon. Good night, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.